theater to think about that phrase. They're drilling it into your head. If it's not in your head, don't fucking have it drilled into you. And I'm being funny, but I'm also being like, I don't want anything drilled in my head. So the work that I'm doing is really about you being present in the moment and knowing that all that you have to do is respond. You know, it's the Buddhist approach. There is no beginning, there is no end. We're constantly in a state of response. And so there is no blank page. Whenever we start a scene, at the beginning of the scene, you and I are sitting here, and you are in response to something that happened prior to us watching the scene.
Yeah. How do you balance that with establishing, I don't know if I want to use that word. I get a question in teaching improv a bit myself. A lot of the time about balancing the connection with a grounding in a reality or a space or a temporal thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I may know what you're talking about. Let's see.
Giving the scene a location, giving the scene...
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine.
Relationship.
I don't give a shit about exposition. I don't care about it at all. I don't care about your who, your what, your where.
Not even necessarily exposition, but just not being a free-floating...
Well, hear me out.
Yeah.
I'm talking long form here, because short form will take care of itself. Because usually you get a who, the what, where you'll get all that. I don't care about the exposition, because if we're taught to and this is one of those drill it in your head that the groundlings do, and God bless them. If you are taught the who, the what, and the where at the beginning of the scene, we're taught to go off the last bit of inspiration, right? We're taught to respond to the last bit of inspiration. So if I'm talking to you about the who, the what, and the where, we're about to talk about the where, aren't we? If I have to establish the who, the what, and the where at the beginning of the scene, and we're going to the last thing said, the last thing I'm saying is the where. Do you follow me? If I'm going off the where, the what, and the who, the last thing I said is the who. If I'm going the where, the who, and the what, the last thing is the what. The one thing missing out of all of that is the only reason to fucking go to theater, and that's the relationship between the two people, the behavior that these two people are having on stage. So I don't give a shit how much you know about the banking industry, or if your bike's broken. I don't give a fuck about it. Nobody is in the afterwards goes outside into the lobby and says, boy, they fixed the bike. Nobody cares about that. All right, so if you're in a long form, and we are dealing with each other in that moment, the who, the what, and the where is all going to be established. If at any point you feel like I'm a doctor, then call me doctor. If you feel at some point you want to get up and touch something and it inspires you to where it is that you are, let's deal with that. But right now, I think too much of, and I'm not knocking it, because if you can do it, that's great. I have no interest in it, and that's okay. If the who, the what, and the where is going to come out in the scene, and if you are sitting there needing the who, the what, and the where, if you need it, then I just want you to be patient. It's coming, man. It's coming. Because really what I want to know is, how can you and I develop our characters? How can we explore and evolve and unfold and unfurl this relationship that we have? So we have pressure, tension, and dynamic, which drives this scene forward. And that's what I want to see. I want to see you act. I want to be in response to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm saying, you are never nowhere. And if I'm in a scene with you,
right.
you are, the way that you just held your glasses in that moment made me think that you're my professor and there's a desk in between the two of us. Right? No matter what it is that you're doing, I am waiting for you to, or I am open to, I am present to, I am mindful to, you doing something that will put me where it is that I am so that we can get that fucking thing out of the way. But if I go to the who, the what, and the where, and all of that, then I got to invent a reason for us to be together. And that's where the lines like, oh, I fucked your wife came in. You know? Or one of these things where you're going, really? Really? You're bringing in something that isn't here. Your brain is a liar and an asshole. And it's going to try to fucking throw you off. It's going to try to throw you off. The only thing you ever know at any time is how you're feeling. That's the only thing you ever know, is how you're feeling. Right now, you don't know that there's gas in your car. You don't know that there's air in your tires. You don't know that your cat is okay in your house. But you do know right now you're probably worried. That's great. Be worried. That's a wonderful state to be in on stage. Then you don't have to invent anything. Mark Twain said, if you're truthful, if you're honest, I'm paraphrasing. If you're honest, you don't have to remember anything. And I feel like if you're honest on stage, if you're honest and connected to your emotional content, you don't have to invent anything. And Picasso said, I don't invent, I discover. The implication is it's all here. So, let's have a workshop on environment, but know that the scene isn't about, the bank. Because then you're going to have to figure out what the scene is about. And the scene is already there, man. It's already there in the relationship that we have. We just have to open up our heart and our gut. The heart and your gut is what drives us. And we have to be aware that whenever that inspiration comes in a little, it's a ting, it's a sound, and it's very quiet. But the moment that you're inspired by something, you feel differently. In that moment, you feel differently. You have an idea, and you feel differently. You've been exposed to something that you didn't think about before, and you feel differently. So what do you do with that? You run with it. Because the inspiration is this tiny thing that goes, and then suddenly you go, oh, you're there, and it runs, goes, I've been waiting for you. It's like, yeah, we're here together, right? Right? But we've got to know that this thing here doesn't belong up here. It belongs here and here. And sometimes